You're listening to the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Now here's your hosts, Kevin, Derek, and Alex.
All right, and welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. I am Derek, and joined as always by your co-hosts, Kevin and Alex. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Doing good, man. Another Tuesday night. We are inching closer to the start of the NFL season, but lots of different pieces of news and nuggets coming from training camp, right? And just trying to decipher what things look like and what's smoke and what's real. But at the moment, you name a player and there's bits and pieces of news about them, right? A lot of talk about Travis Hunter and him being slotted as a backup on defense and the second wide receiver for the depth chart. Lots of talk around running backs. All the quarterback drama in Cleveland, of course, but even like New York, not New York, Indianapolis, where Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson are like co-starters right now on the depth chart, and just trying to figure out what's going on there. But apparently Richardson's been having at least a decent camp so far. Like Daniel Jones isn't blowing him out of the water, and Richardson's had a couple really good passes and a couple really bad ones. But that's what social media brings to you, right? Like anybody can prove a point in a 15-second clip when you have the whole practice to analyze it and go, oh, look, he threw a bad pass. Don't draft him, right? Was it Caleb Williams, one that I watched the other day?
Yeah.
Got pressured, rolled out, kind of, I'm not going to say weak-armed it, but I mean, he was probably only like 70%, something like that, and just kind of lobbed one up out there. And defense picked it and ran it back. And, the whole thing was like, oh no, watch out for Caleb Williams. It's like, guys, it's one play. It's one play.
In practice.
Yeah, exactly. So lots of different things going out there, but it's good. We're kind of getting a feel for how things at least look on paper, and then we will get a full set of games here coming up this week, and then we'll be able to see maybe some of the deeper positional battles and what those look like. And then in 2 weeks, we should see more of the starters and then really understand kind of how things are going to begin to shake out.
Yeah. Did either of you watch the Hall of Fame game? Were you able to watch it? I got caught up doing stuff, so I wasn't able to watch it. But I saw the line. Trey Lance sounded pretty good.
The Trey Lance to Will Dissly touchdown.
Yeah.
Is actually a pretty play. I mean, he executed it very well. Dissly was wide open in the back right corner of the end zone, but I mean, you got to hit him. So,
yeah, excited to see that there's more football this week. We'll see if I can't grab a game or two here. I think the big things that stood out to me. One happened today that has implications on what we do. We know Jordan Addison now. 3-game suspension for his violating of it's a substance abuse policy, the league's substance abuse policy. So 3 games for Jordan Addison, which I think, correct me if I'm wrong, we kind of all thought 4. So 3 feels right. Does 3 feel right to you guys?
Yeah, a bit of a discount compared to what we were thinking. Somewhere in that, 2, 3, 4 games. I feel like the NFL still throws darts at some of these. Like there's not a standardized, if you do X, then Y will happen. It is, if you do X, we will evaluate and then make an arbitrary decision. Like, that part needs to get cleaned up still. I wish there was a little bit more consistency in the punishment that's levied down on the players. When a certain act occurs in however it goes against the guidelines, right? Traffic violations, one thing, assaults are another, substance abuse is another. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like they should be able to categorize most things.
Uniformity, and maybe they do have like a lot of uniformity, and they just keep that, kind of behind the scenes in what they do. But the second thing that I just saw right before we started tonight Keenan Allen is going back to the Chargers, which it really doesn't mean anything, but it is kind of interesting that he's back there. Mike Williams has retired. So there's a little bit of a maybe he can have a slight impact. I'm not entirely sure that he's I'm not entirely sure that he's going to have a huge impact, but I do think that he sees the football, helps Lad McConkey and Quentin Johnston kind of come along, and who knows, maybe um, the connection that he and Justin Herbert had will continue on. So that was the other big news that I saw, was that Keenan Allen, player wise, that Keenan Allen's coming back to the Chargers. The third thing I'm going to make has nothing to do with the actual on-field product, but red zone, I think, is going away, boys.
I saw that, and
oh, really? I didn't see that.
They were acquired by the 4-letter network earlier today.
ESPN has acquired the NFL Network. They have the rights to red zone. The NFL gets an equity stake in ESPN, a 10% equity stake in ESPN. This just happened a couple hours ago is when this news came out.
Yeah.
But I do think that ESPN is going to mess with what was awesome with red zone. And I think they won't leave well enough alone. And red zone as we know it, I think, goes away. I don't know that for certain, but if I know how these networks work, they don't keep doing the same thing because they think the same thing works. That's just not business thinking, right?
So
no, they'll put. Never mind. I'll save my satire.
That's yeah.
For when we get done with the show, I'm not going to put that on.
Something tells me that there won't be. That we won't see uninterrupted football. There'll be commercials galore. I have a feeling in those 8 hours, but that's about all I'm willing to throw my sense in there on that one. Again, pure speculation, but that would be my initial thoughts. Anyway, any other news notes we want to hit up before we start getting into tonight?
Trying to think. I haven't seen any major injury stuff. Juwan Jennings. I don't remember if we talked about him last week. Juwan Jennings, I believe I believe it's an ankle, but it's the same one that he dealt with last year. I think we might have talked about that. I just thought it was interesting timing because he wants this contract and then he can't even, make it onto the field. Let's see.
This Parsons, the Micah Parsons saga is hilarious.
Right.
And I think we talked about this last week. I can't remember if we did or not, but
he'll get signed. It's a training camp distraction. He's going to get signed.
He'll get signed.
Cam Scadaboo's MRI came back negative, but from the sounds of it, it is the Tyrone Tracy show. So those of you who were drafting Cam thinking that he was going to, eat into some of that and kind of be a bit of a sleeper pick, I think you're going to be sadly mistaken. Right now, if you're drafting, Tracy's the guy, and he's kind of clearly the only guy. So maybe some running back value, right? Going 0 RB, waiting a little bit later to grab some running backs who are going to see volume. Tyrone Tracy is a guy to keep an eye on to help fill in mid-round running back talent if you're just soaking up wide receivers and a tight end or a quarterback early.
Right. Yeah, I hadn't seen that, but that's good. That's some good info. Any other news notes we want to hit up?
No.
Alrighty. We are talking about auction drafts tonight. And before we get there, we do have a question in the chat. So we're going to hit this one up and go through this, and we're going to jump into the auction strategy. And then we're also going to play out and do a little auction drafting mock here as well. So before we get into that, let's go ahead and hop in over Walsh over on YouTube has the question. So that they're in a $50 buy-in 10-team league drafted on ESPN today. Walsh made a couple of pick trades before. The team is Kyler, Bijan, Brian Thomas Jr., Jalen Waddle, Mark Andrews, Calvin Ridley, Jamison Williams, Cooper Kupp, Jalen Warren, and Kyron Williams, who's not listed, but also I just saw that on the roster as well. Says that being made fun of, is it for good reason with this roster?
I don't know why you would get made fun of.
Yeah, I mean it's Walsh. I'll be honest, it's not my favorite roster off of the cuff, right? If you were drafting Bijan, you're probably in picks 1, 2, 3, probably somewhere right in that range. So Bijan would have been your first, coming back into the second at pick 20. Probably that's where about the Brian Thomas Jr. would have come into play. I don't mind that. I'm not the biggest fan of the wide receiver core that you have on this one, right? Waddle, we've discussed Waddle ad nauseum there. Ridley, the problem that I have with Calvin Ridley is perpetually is this the week? And do I start him? Do I not start him? Is he going to burn me on my bench? Not. Jamison Williams, I like him as your third wide receiver. Mark Andrews, I like the value that you probably got on that one for the tight end. I do like your running back room with Kyron Williams and Bijan. But what are the other thoughts here on this? That's one.
Starting the show off great. I like the running back room. I like Bijan and Kyron Williams. I think between those two guys, you're going to see north of 600 touches between the two of them, and maybe 650 even, depending on how the seasons play out. So I like the volume in your running back room. Kyron also has a pretty good knack for the end zone. So if that keeps up, I think you could very well be heads and shoulders above a lot of your league mates in your running back room. Kyler's not my favorite, but I don't mind him, right? Like, you have to make sacrifices and trades somewhere. I like the fact that he's still mobile. I like the fact that he does have some decent offensive pieces around him between McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. So there's some opportunity there for Kyler. And when he's on, he is electric, right? When Kyler has a really good game, he's absolutely top 5, top 3, even at times. The problem is we don't consistently get that Kyler. And so there's a lot of times where he finishes, in that 12 to 14 range, and then his really good weeks bring him up inside the top 12. So again, I don't hate it. In a 10-team league, it feels like Kyler was probably the 10th quarterback off the board. Maybe 8 or 9. So again, I don't hate it. I agree with Derek though. It's all your wide receivers behind Brian Thomas Jr. I don't want any part of Jalen Waddle. I just don't personally trust it. He's not a bad player per se, but we've yet to see him and Kyler really connect. He had a really good rookie season, and then they brought Tyreek in, and then Jalen Waddle hasn't been the same. Obviously, he's dealt with a couple injuries here and there, so that worries me. Calvin Ridley, I think he's sneaky good. Kind of being the clear number 1 there in Tennessee. I think they're going to be a little bit more balanced than what they've been in years past. So I don't mind that. But again, dealing with a rookie quarterback. So yes, we think Cam Ward is good, but if Ridley's seeing number 1 coverage and a rookie quarterback, how many times is Cam going to maybe look off of him a little bit because that window's a little too tight for what he's used to seeing, especially earlier on in the season? JMO, I don't mind. But again, like Derek said, I like that as kind of a flex player, a third wide receiver. And Cooper Kupp, I think Alex said last week or 2 weeks ago, he likes Cooper Kupp. I don't. Seattle's not going to throw the ball overly often, and I don't want their number 2 receiver just based off of offensive philosophy, on top of the fact that Cup hasn't played a full season in the last couple of years. Last year was riddled with injuries. So ideally, I would try and package Cup and Ridley or Cup and Waddle together and see if you can improve in your wide receiver room. Even if you have to take a hit on tight end, like Cup, Ridley, and Andrews, and see if you can look out for like the Evan Ingram owner and see what's on his roster and see if you can get Ingram and a wide receiver and do kind of a 2-for-3 trade deal. So I think I think you need some work, honestly, especially in a 10-team league, because some of those top teams are going to be absolutely stacked. So you're going to have to be making moves this year to kind of overcome it. But I think you have good mid pieces to be able to trade with and try and package a couple of those pieces up and then get a better, more top end player.
Right. I mean, here's an interesting thought for you, right? Like a potential trade package that you could look at. You could see if somebody's got a Cortland Sutton and a Tyrone Tracy, right? Kevin just mentioned Tyrone Tracy earlier in the show. Cortland Sutton is a guy that a lot of folks are not necessarily high on, but you could see about trying to put together a Jalen Waddle, Jalen Warren, and potentially another piece, right? Throw Cooper Kupp into the mix there to see about trying to go out and get a Cortland Sutton and a Tyrone Tracy and potentially improve on two fronts on that, right? One, you're improving your running back room a little bit, and two, I think that's a pretty good upgrade for your wide receiver room, and you could certainly kind of rock and roll from there. At which point, that then leaves you with Calvin Ridley or Jamison Williams as your third wide receiver to kind of play between, and that also gives you some flexibility for a pickup going into the first couple of weeks of the season here. All right, any thoughts on that?
I don't mind that. This looks like a one quarterback league.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're probably, instead of Kyler, you're probably better off if Dak is still available. That feels like a better option there. Odds are Dak, depending on what your league looks like. I mean, Dak is kind of ranked after Kyler in a lot of these. So you might be able to snag that. And I think that's an improvement just based on how much throwing of the football is going to happen there with Dak. I agree with you guys about the receiver room. It's high end, and then there's a wide gap to your next one there. But I do think that there are options to improve it. And I know that you're a little thin at running back, so I would I would maybe look for some depth there. An
ESPN league. I mean, that's the problem, right? There's four bench spots.
Right.
So maybe a depth piece at the running back. If not, like it, because it is an ESPN league and there is, 4 bench spots and it's a 10-team league, you just need to hawk the waiver wire every Monday morning. Like, just hawk the waiver wire, my guy. You will be okay. Because there's going to be a lot of really good players that are still out there. And the way that you win this league is by paying more attention than the rest of your league mates. Like that's what it boils down to. Yeah, you got to get lucky on a few weeks here and there, but if you just pay more attention, you're gonna make the playoffs. You just have to pay attention.
And kind of based off of the roster here, right? Not knowing what the other rosters look like, so kind of a blind deal. This roster is one that I feel like you could compete week in, week out. But if you're going to make a run for a championship, there is a little bit of maneuvering that's going to happen. They're going to be required to happen.
And there's going to be plenty of opportunity on the waiver wire.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on this one? All righty. Awesome. Good question, Walls. Appreciate it. Yeah, chiming in. And guys, if you have any questions, concerns, thoughts, anything like that with some drafts, some waivers, or a little early for the waivers, but drafts, draft strategy, roster construction, anything like that, hit us up, let us know. All righty, guys. So we're talking auction draft strategy tonight, which auction draft is a draft strategy that and a kind of not as well known draft option out there for a lot of leagues out there, right? For anybody curious as to what that looks like, typically the way that works is every league sets a budget for the for that. Every team has basically a salary cap. You can spend whatever your salary cap is on players. It's a bidding and auction process type of deal where you're bidding on the rights for a guy to join your team and join your roster for the season, and then you're going through on that. So there is some definite nuance to this and some different strategies instead of just relying on what the board falls to you and how that kind of looks and works. Definitely more of a strategy of you've got to go out there and go get your guy. You've got to be an active participant in that. If you really want a guy, you're going to have to be part of that process to go get that. But let's go ahead and kind of start that off. Anything to add to the auction draft?
Yeah, I'll say something. The best part of an auction draft is obviously or an auction league is the draft, right? So you need to have a consensus with your league mates that they're going to participate. I've been in auction drafts where we've had to have people on auto draft, on the computer drafting. The best part of an auction draft is the human element. The best part of any live auction is the human element. It's the wrestling with yourself and the one-upping of the other person, right? It's that human interaction, and that is imperative to a successful and a fun auction draft. So make sure that you are going to have your league participating in the draft if you're going to do an auction draft. It just makes it way more fun because when you're drafting against a computer, that removes the human element of it, and that makes the auction less fun, right? It just makes it way more robotic and not human. So that's the thing I will tell you about that, at least from my perspective of having been in an auction draft league now for 10 plus years. Make sure that your league is participating in the draft. Everybody in the league needs to participate, because even one auto draft can ruin it for everybody else.
Yes. The other thing too, right? Like when you're looking at when you're preparing for an auction draft or a salary cap draft, how do you ultimately decide what players you're going to target in that draft?
So my strategy is kind of a silly one, and I don't know if it works or not, but it's one that I employ. When everybody's got their money at the beginning, that's where I test the water. Right. So this auction that we're about to do, we all start with what, $200.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put out players that I don't necessarily want, but I am okay if I win them, right? Because you have to put out a player and when you put out a player, you have to have a starting bid. So I'm okay if I get that player, if I win that auction. But there are players that I don't necessarily want, but I do want the price to go up so that the rest of my league has less money to deal with when we get to players I do actually want. So that's a strategy that I employ. I'm putting out players that I don't actually care. I'll kind of test the waters and see like, oh, this quarterback isn't going, I think this quarterback is worth $15, but since everybody's got 200, let's see if he goes for 25. And then that's $10 less that particular player has to draft the next quarterback or the next, position. So it is a way that I test the waters to see how willing people are to overspend early, because I think that's a big thing to do. So I don't necessarily throw out players that I'm super interested in the first 3 or 4 rounds of the auction.
Right. Well, and to kind of jump onto that thought there too, right? Like I've seen you do this before, Alex, where you tend to go a little aggressive and a little heavy at some of these guys, and you end up getting a discount on that because everybody's still trying to hold on because that's not necessarily where they want to go right now. But you can get that discount, and then all of a sudden, when about 5 or 6 players come off the board, then all of a sudden you start seeing people go, oh, I need to really go after this guy, or that's the one that I really want. And now you've got everybody introduced to that, and the bids start flying a little bit easier, it seems like. So, yeah. Kevin, any thoughts on that one?
No, I think I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it in a lot of tiers, right? And again, this is my overall draft strategy is all about tiers, right? Like, I don't know that I necessarily want to pay for Jamar Chase, right? Yeah, obviously, depending on where the value is, okay, fine. But if I go into a draft, a 12-team draft, and I say, okay, I want two wide receivers that I think are in the top 15, right? I may not go after the first one, right? Like, I want Jamar Chase to kind of go early, right? So that way one team is out of the way. But maybe I'm looking at a Brian Thomas Jr. and Lad McConkey, right? Just combination there, or St. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown and AJ Brown or Garrett Wilson, something like that, right? Where you can kind of tier them out, but guys that I think are all going to finish in the top 15 or so. So that way I have a wide receiver one and a fringe wide receiver one, right? Or even two fringe wide receiver ones I might be okay with. So I'm looking at kind of how I want to build my roster. A lot of it's the roster format that's laid out before you. If it's a 2 wide receiver league, I'm not as concerned with the second wide receiver, maybe. So I'll spend a little bit more on my top wide receiver. And I'll take that money and then maybe I put it into my running backs. But if it's a 3 wide receiver league, I'm probably going to focus in on getting at least 2 really good wide receivers and 1 good running back instead of trying to pair it out. And then I'll fill in the gaps elsewhere. Quarterbacks, generally, I'm okay getting somewhere between the 9th to 12th quarterback off the board, right? I'm typically not the guy who's going to pay up for Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, those types. Like, I will sit back and wait and see what Bo Nix is going for, right? What even Kyler, we were talking about him earlier. Again, mobile quarterbacks. And if I end up getting a guy who's not very mobile, then I look later on for the secondary quarterback. I want something like a Justin Fields, right? Just to give me a little difference in my roster, because right, wrong, or indifferent, Fields isn't accurate, but when he is on, much like what I said with Kyler earlier, when he's using his legs and he's only throwing for 180 yards, but has 80 yards rushing on top of it and 2 touchdowns, like, that scores really well. So it's understanding the rules, but mainly I'm tiering it out. I'm not the fastest to bid in the first few rounds. Like, I kind of want to sit back and read the room a little bit. And then once I've made a decision or I see a guy that I feel like I want, that's where I'll step in and then I'll jump back out.
I'll tell you the thing that will help people get involved is somebody going for a criminally undervalue, right? Like, so early, somebody going for like $15-20 less than what they should go for, right? Because people are a little tight. The room is tight still, right? Your draft room is tight. That'll get people involved. And then to kind of add to Kevin's point, you're going to kind of want to think about how much percentage of your budget do you want to, allot for your running backs or your wide receivers, right? It's easier to think of it that way. Like, okay, I have $200. I'm okay if I spend 25%, right? So $50 on my wide receivers. I'm okay if I can get, both of my wide receivers in that top 15 range for 25% of my budget. Okay, great. Like, that's what I'm willing to do. But then you have to, set limits on yourself as well and be willing to shut it down if it goes above your set limits going into the draft. So going into an auction, you have to do a lot of pre-work. There's a lot more thinking about where you want to be. And obviously, I think in an auction draft, there's a lot more adapting
Okay.
because you just don't know. And you have an opportunity at everyone.
Fair enough. Any other thoughts we want to talk about, discuss about before we start getting into the actual mock? All righty.
Yeah, let's go.
Well, let's go ahead and do some mocking here. And there we go. All righty. And so with this, we've got this set up so that it's that we're always kind of on a spot. Doesn't really matter, but everybody has the same budget of $200 per team. Minimum bid is $1 on that, and so you will see the budget, but you'll also see a max next to that as well. That would be what is left to bid that will still require you to be able to fully field a roster when this draft's all said and done. So let's go ahead and get it started here and see how this thing shakes out.
Yeah, I've never done an auction on Sleeper before, so this will be fun.
All right. So first up, we got Bijan Robinson on the as the bid out there. Currently kind of rocking and rolling. Looks like the bids are up to about $30. It'll be interesting to see, right? Because as we've talked about, they certainly have had a few of those. You're kind of where that comes into play. Now, one of the things while we're kind of going through here, what there is you always run the risk of if you're not really looking to necessarily win the bid, but you're looking to be able to drive the price up. How do you recover if you get caught with your hand in the cookie jar a little bit on that one?
You just have to look. You have to assume if you hit offer that you are spending that money, right? Like that's what you have to assume,
right?
And if you do have to recover, that's what this is. You have to adapt and recover. By the way, Bijan goes for $75, which was what his pre-draft valuation was here in the Sleeper app.
Right, and you'll find this with the computer, right? Going back to your point, Alex, you'll find this with the computer that it's a that the computer won't really bid above what the projected budget was on this. So it'll be very interesting to see how that
already. Team 8 has won 2 auctions, and yes, their team is Bijan Robinson and Jamar Chase, and that's. I think if you had that, this is the only way that you're going to have that.
Right. You're also dealing with the fact that they've got $70 left to field the entire rest of their team.
Yeah. But they could get some value somewhere. They could find a diamond in the rough or a guy who gets undervalued. But they're going to be sitting around for a while waiting for that to happen. Justin Jefferson goes for $41, which again was his pre-draft valuation. It's like Saquon Barkley is up now.
And he's going to go for 75 unless one of you gentlemen bid up for him for 76.
I have a hard time doing that. The good thing is this is not a real league, so
right.
I don't particularly care. Let's see. We'll throw in I guess I ran out of time. So Jahmyr Gibbs is up.
Right. And to just try and save us some time, I'm just going to start jumping some of these things up by good chunks here.
That's what I did too.
So hopefully that'll kind of get us through some of the weeds here a little bit with kind of that rock and roll. But this does kind of prove kind of talk to the point about how when you're doing this, right? Some of these teams are going through and when you have $200 and all of a sudden you've just spent a very big chunk of that on one player, that certainly can limit what you've got remaining and what you can do with the rest of your draft. Oh, hey, I finally won one. I got CD Lamb for 44 there.
Nice. What was his pre-draft valuation?
44.
All right, then.
All righty. And so Puka Nacua is up.
And on your roster.
And on my roster, right, 35. So, right, Alex talking about kind of where you're going to be spending your draft picks at there, right? And I feel pretty good about that, being able to have a roster with CD Lamb and Puka Nacua and a start 3 wide receiver room. Certainly cut into about 20%. Well, no, much more than that of the budget and of the roster there, but feeling pretty good about that nonetheless. I would say, Alex, if you put down one more, it's all yours.
Pretty sure it will be.
So,
I'm on Ross St. Brown going for $1 over his redraft.
Right. So, yeah. Kevin throwing out the Drake London there. Oh, well, I messed that one up, but oh well.
What'd you do?
I got caught in the cookie jar.
But you've got a heck of a receiver room now. You have no money to spend on anything else, but you have a heck of a receiver.
Yeah, we've still got $86. we can find something out there for that. It may not be overly may not be big names at any other position, but we'll be all right, I think.
As long as they stay healthy, we're good.
Right?
Yeah, right. This isn't exactly great radio, so we hope you're watching this. This is moving relatively quickly here.
Right.
But on the clock right now is Christian McCaffrey, who is going to go for, what do you think, guys? $57, unless one of you jumps in.
Yeah, the pre-7, whatever the pre-draft option is, or the projection.
Yeah, so that team 12 now has Jahmyr Gibbs and Christian McCaffrey, which is a pretty stellar running back room, in my opinion. Well, I think 57 for Christian McCaffrey might be a little bit too rich.
It is certainly up there.
Right now, Brian Thomas is up, going to go for his projected 33. But so this is again, as Derek said, this is kind of the downside of an auction with computers. And granted, this is to the max extent, right? We've got 12 teams. There's only 3 humans involved in this. But this is kind of what happens when you're dealing with these computers.
Right.
Now I'm stuck in a dogfight here for Devon Achane. Yeah, I'll take him.
Yeah, and that's the so that is one of the things that, right, like if you're running an auction, you'll want to have all of the folks present for that, being able to go through that. And it's one of those two, right? Like Kevin was saying earlier with this is where you really want to make sure that you have your tiers kind of lined out there, right? Because this is where, like, if you've got some guys in the same tier as one another, but one of them is projected to go far less than another guy, right? And you can save yourself $10 or $15 to get what's in your mind a guy in the similar tier to it. That's where you can also certainly differentiate and find some significant value for that as well.
Well, for sure, I was going to get him for 51 here. Derrick Henry's on the clock.
Oh, no, you're not going to get into that unless you start getting all of these other teams that are without anything. Then you still got several teams that still have their full budget.
Their full remaining. 200. Well, Bucky Irving's an interesting one.
Right.
I think in a human draft, I think Bucky Irving probably goes for a bit more than
Yeah, I think there's some excitement around him. And
what the computer will allow, right?
Right.
I'll say the other thing too about these auction drafts is like it pays it not pays, but it's helpful to know, who your league mates like, right? Like in one of my leagues, the league that I've been in the auction draft, there's a huge Packers fan in that league. So I know that I can drive the price up of whatever Packers player I want, knowing full well that this guy's probably going to come in over the top of me because he wants that Packers player.
Right. And that's another, in this type of deal, another really good strategy there from a standpoint. One, you can drive the price up, but two, you can also ultimately kind of bid somebody out of later players because of them utilizing so much of their budget already on players that went up beforehand.
Yeah. Alvin Kamara up, and Rhodes gets Alvin Kamara for $33, his pre-draft valuation. I gotta be honest, this team 8 is kind of scary right now. Bijan Robinson, Ashton Genty, Jamar Chase. Yeah, they have $13 to fill the rest of their roster, but
have you had to compete against a team that pretty much has like 3 players and then all the rest are $1 players?
But see, the thing is, and not so much in a 12 team with this many roster positions, but you can still get decent players. If it's a 10 team and there's only, 10 roster spots, like you can still get good players for $1. You just got to wait it out, right? You just got to have some patience.
Fair enough. So we're kind of getting into this with kind of about 20 players deep or so. Has there been anything so far that that kind of changes your outlook, changes your perspective on these? Anything that any buyer's remorse or guys that you wish that you'd bid on so far?
no, I can't say that there is, but at the moment everything's chalk, right? Like again, because it's AI. I think it's just kind of a bit of a different format because of it being AI, right? Like you're not seeing any values, you're not seeing any overpays where you're going, wow, he really wanted that guy. Like it's just okay, here we're gonna build out our budgets and call it good.
Right. Yeah, that is certainly one of the things that just like when you mock against the computer, you get a whole lot of chalk type of answers, and that's very much what we're seeing here is chalky type of answers as well. Oh, Alex comes in over the top. Oh my gosh. We got action here now. Oh, Kevin comes over the top. We got 28, now 29, 29, looking to go 30. Do we have a 30?
Right here. This is good intel for non-auction draft that's later.
All
See
right.
how much Rhodes wants Kenneth Walker this year.
$5. Yeah, I'll overpay $1.
That was funny.
I should have let you sit on him because you keep saying how much you don't want him.
I don't.
That would have been hysterical.
I don't care about this league, so. Oh, man. I don't even know where we're at right now. What do I have? I have 2 players on my team. This one's moving a little quick.
Oh, I missed that one.
Who'd you miss?
Don't worry about it.
Okay. This is tough because you gotta set your queue and hope you're paying attention to your queue. And this obviously we're going real fast here. It's
Right.
probably faster than I'd like to go.
Right. Well, and some of that is the fact that you've got that where it's there's only so many that we want to sit there and keep having the clock reset to that one.
Yeah.
Oh, Kevin comes off the board with the first quarterback in a single QB league. With Josh Allen going for 33.
It's a pretty good get.
Right?
Do you think Josh Allen, so Sleeper has that projected, Josh Allen at 33, and then Lamar Jackson at 32, Jaden Daniels at 28, and Jalen Hurts at $23. He's a full $10 cheaper than Josh Allen.
Yeah, I probably should have waited. Hammered that one a little bit more, but
right, like that 23 valuation on Jalen Hurts feels low.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like there's nothing wrong, but like it is interesting to see what Sleeper has and how many people actually like live and die by these pre-draft valuations that come up, you know?
Right. Well, and then we get on a quarterback run with Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Jaden Daniels all going all right in a row there.
Oh, it's my nomination.
And then Jalen Hurts. So it is fully on a QB run here.
That's just because that's what I was looking at, and I had 5 seconds to make the decision. So how you guys feeling about your team so far, Kevin?
I'm good, man.
Oh, I just hit another whoopsie daisy there. Oh well.
I'm good. I like it so far. I think I might have let one or two receivers pass that I probably need to jump on, but I see some value here in some other places for a receiver that I'll get back in and call it good.
At this point, it's I have a feeling that my wide receiver room is gonna have to be some trade bait to try and go get a running back.
Your wide receiver room is loaded, Derek.
Well, I was trying to nominate another player, and it ran out as I pushed in that and hit the nominate, and it just put that as the bid. And I went, well, that is what it is, I guess.
All right, we can keep going here. Oh, it is past what I have to offer. It turns red when you do that.
Yep.
I can't offer more than my max. My max right now is only $42. So.
Yep. So we should start seeing some of these things move a little bit, but we still have some of these teams that have yet to have a single player on their roster. Like Team 11, they are in the waiting mode.
And there's still some pretty good, like, Derek, I know that you're kind of joking, but like you've got $55. You can still get a Brees Hall and Omarion Hampton, a Chuba Hubbard. Like these guys are still out there.
Right. There's still places that I can go and go after some guys here. I actually really like that one there, Kevin. The Garrett Wilson for
that feels low, doesn't it?
Yeah.
16. Yeah.
Yeah. The only reason I think that he's $16 valuation is because the quarterback situation, right? Like you can't trust that quarterback.
Right.
And priced out again.
Alex going to start just being a pass on most of these guys, it seems like.
Priced out at $44. And I only have 4 roster spots filled. This will be tough.
Yeah.
There's some interesting guys to kind of fill your lineup out with, though, that are just dollar guys.
Oh yeah, like they're here, they're there. look at okay, Stephon Diggs is valued at $1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who else? I can get Khalil Shakir for $1.
Kyle Pitts.
I don't need a tight end because I overpaid for Trey McBride, but
Yes, you did.
Emeka Ibuka for $1, Michael Pittman for $1. Like there is dollar talent out there. It's not going to be, great.
Right.
But I'm also not in dollar talent territory yet, right? Like Cortland Sutton is valued at $15. I could get a Cortland Sutton for $15 and still make my hay, right?
It's true.
Devonta Smith. Have a little stack there with Jalen Hurts, but Devonta Smith is only, $9. Zay Flowers, $6.
Ooh,
do not need
Derek
a
just goes
quarterback.
quarterback
For $22.
We're hoping so. Now I'm going to be a lot in your territory, Alex, where it's maxed out sooner than later. But
Yeah.
you know what? I also got that little stack between Joe Burrow and T. Higgins.
That Terry McLaurin's interesting. I don't know. We didn't talk about him at the top of the show. But he requested that trade from Washington. Do you think Terry's gone?
It's just no, it's just
I think
business.
it's a business.
Yep,
Right.
it's a business deal.
Oh, my turn to nominate. Let's go. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Shoot. That's not who I picked.
You got bailed out.
Thank God Team 1 needs a quarterback. He was top of my need to move him up my
So yeah, as you guys can see, right? It is difficult with the computers. It's not quite as entertaining when you have the three of us only instead of a room of 10 or 12 or 14, whatever it is, kind of passing through everything. But the biggest thing is understanding where the value is, right? Look and see where some of those dollar players are, mix and match your lineup a little bit so that way you don't get completely cap strapped and you still have 8 positions that you need to fill out. You want to be able to balance that out just a little bit. Otherwise, it can make life a little bit difficult at the end of your roster. And just, really understanding how to spread out your budget, if you will. So,
yeah. I think the big thing again is with these valuations, right? Like you got to understand where this valuation is coming from, what it means, what it represents. And do you agree with that valuation, right? Like, do I think Cortland Sutton is a $15 receiver? I mean, is he materially, is he $7 worse than Terry McLaurin, $10 worse than Terry McLaurin? Like, I don't think so. I think when it's all said and done, right? Like, Cortland Sutton's going to be up there near where Terry McLaurin's finishing, right? Like, so there's your value, right? You get your value built in there. Like right now on some of these ranking sites, and this is full point PPR. Terry McLaurin is 18th. Cortland Sutton is 22nd, and they're in the same basic tier break, right? So like they're in the same tier break, but they're $10, which in this auction draft is 20%, not 20%, full 10% cheaper than these other players. So like you have to be able to find where like the pre-draft valuations, do you agree with them? What are you willing to spend on these players and go that route?
Right. Yeah, certainly kind of an interesting mix here so far on what we're seeing with some of these players and how these teams are kind of constructing their rosters so far.
Like Team 4 that has spent
All running backs.
all of their money on running backs.
They've spent what is that, $178, $188 on running backs so far.
$188 on running backs.
Which that may be a little tough for them to compete down the stretch there.
Could make it interesting.
Right. Oh, it's
DK Metcalf goes for $13. That's a steal. Q's been wiped out here.
That'll happen. But yeah, that is the interesting thing too, to just sit there and watch the computer and the AI basically just kind of go, rink a dink around, put up $1 or $2, and then all of a sudden, somebody jumping in and taking it closer to, and now all of a sudden it starts kind of settling in there. But very interesting to watch where it's like just $1 at a time type of thing.
I'm gonna have to overspend on him for $1.
You know the answer is.
Yeah.
So, at this point in the draft, though, what team do you think is really kind of set up for success here?
Well, Rhodes is doing quite well. No wonder he's been so quiet. He's been stealing players left.
Kind of silent assassin over here.
Right. I mean, the fact that you already have your quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 starting wide receivers, and 2 flex positions filled in there certainly does help things out there quite a bit.
Yeah, like I said, I thought maybe I missed out, but I had some value late, right? I'll take Devonta Smith, who consistently finishes inside wide receiver 2 territory. Rashee Rice, even with the potential looming suspension, but there's been no word on this.
Yeah.
And what I don't know if the NFL will actually do is suspend him mid-season for this. If we can get a month down the road and they haven't decided by the time things kind of start, I do wonder if he just gets through this season without being suspended, and then he's suspended going into 2026. So we don't know that yet. They still need to run their course. But if so, getting Rice for $7 is an absolute steal. And realistically, even if he serves 4 games, I still think on a per game basis, $7 is a steal for Rashee Rice. So I'm super happy. I can leave him on my bench for the first couple weeks and then plug and play.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, several teams. It's also interesting too to watch some of these teams having not a ton of capital left, and some of these teams having a fair bit of capital left. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of this kind of plays out here.
Yeah, there's enough. Oh, someone's getting this guy for $1 and he ain't even gonna play. Yeah. I mean, there's the AI kind of holds the hammer in most of these.
Yeah. Because you know what they're going to go up to. And so you have to, okay, I guess we'll go above that.
Yeah. Like one team can have a max of 76. So they can have anybody they want. And that's an AI. There's another team with 60 and 72. So there's 3 teams with still quite a bit of money that they can spend. So they could go out and get just about anybody they want and maybe slightly overpay, but realistically just kind of sit there and enjoy it.
Right.
Which is another strategy, right? Like, wait for everybody to go. Buy your, who was that bought B. John Robinson, Ashton Genty, and Jamar Chase, right? Like, they have 3 dudes, and now they have to wait. But they've got an unbelievable 3-headed monster to start.
Right.
See, this is what I have to do. I have to start getting all these players that are worth more than I can spend out of the way.
Right. Just toss it out there and see what happens.
No. Derek with his first running. Oh, you didn't win that?
Nope. No, I did not.
No. Still no running backs for Derek.
Nope. We're gonna have to play into that find the value game.
For what it's worth, I am also trying to find some value at running back here.
Like right there. Jordan Addison for $2. It's only a 3-game suspension.
Right. And that one's some value, especially if you're getting him as your 3rd, 4th, or 5th wide receiver.
Yeah, or 6th in this
He's your
case.
Right.
6th. Yeah.
Now I have Rice on there too, so both of them are suspended. I'm still looking for 2 flex plays, right? Like I got to get through the first quarter of the season. But with this format, I'm thinking, okay, both these guys are suspended, and I start the season 1-3, but then I get both of them back.
Right.
Right? Then I feel like I'm doing okay. Like I need to steal a game in the first couple weeks, and then I'm off to the races.
How can you still be able to spend $25? What? How is your max still 34, Derek? Where are we at here?
Because what I have 9 players I need to get with a budget of 42, so that would leave me with my 34.
Team 1 is starting to fill out.
Yeah.
Not great, but they're starting to fill out.
Yes, they is. Hoo-ha! I got another pass catcher.
Derek with another not running back.
Right, another not running back on my roster. Oh, I was like, guess what I got? Another.
I'm saving you, but I'll take Chris Olave for $3. Oh, this one's interesting.
Right.
Travis Hunter valued at $8. Did I see he's not going to play a ton of receiver?
He's listed as the number 2 on the depth chart,
Right.
behind Brian Thomas. Did I miss?
At this point, if I'm just willing to bet you that I missed more than one at this point.
Trying to find.
Derek, you're up.
Um,
Interesting. Well,
Take it right past Alex's window.
Well, we
There
are
it
done
is.
bidding on Caleb Johnson.
So yeah, it's interesting because now you're starting to get a lot of these teams that are. There's a lot of teams that are already past their have really kind of pushed the max, and now it's what does this really truly look like? Hey, I might do it. I might get somebody other than a pass catcher and quarterback on my roster. I don't feel great about it, but it's been done.
Wolf. I don't want any part of Jalen Warren.
No, I was hoping Alex won that for $1.
I'm not going to. I'm not even going to get him anyways.
I was rooting for your $1.
Hurting here at running back. We spent too much money on receivers.
Yeah, but with 3 flexes and 3 starting wide receivers, like you could spend a lot on receivers in this format.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's what this gives us. Is you can sink really 70% of your budget, 75% of your budget in on wide receiver. And it's not necessarily the wrong move.
Right. I still can't get over Team 4 with their 5 players having spent 188 on running backs and having $4 max and still needing that much every other position. And teammates also kind of that interesting boat too, where they've got a max of $2 to spend, and they've only got 4 guys on the roster, and Chris Godwin still on the pup.
They're going to have a lot of pup here.
Right? I very well might. What also gets interesting is as you really start getting down into it, and just about everybody has a $1 max. How it just becomes who you nominate is who you get.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an interesting pickup, Kevin. Not a bad use of that.
I'll make sure I had a little bit of at least serviceable.
It had a little bit of wiggle left in there.
Yeah, a little bit. There's one more, maybe 2 more running backs I got my eye on to do something similar.
Fair enough. I finally got my 2 running backs. So Brian Robinson, Tyrone Tracy. It's not the prettiest thing, but I feel like for a 0 RB type of strategy, that worked out pretty well for me, I think.
Codex. See, you want to talk about something I'd do different already? The fact that Bo Nix
spent too much money on Josh Allen.
Yeah, I think so. Right? Say the saves $10 by going towards Jalen Hurts, roughly, and $20 by going down to Bo Nix. That $20 I could have happily sunk in and grabbed a Caleb Johnson. Right? Like that pays, the difference in that pays for Caleb Johnson, basically. And he's a guy that I really like this season as a rookie. Right. So something I could have done differently. They picked it up at the very end. I thought Baker was gonna go through and be your second quarterback.
I was like, did I seriously get Baker for $1? Like, I'll take it.
I thought you were getting Baker for $1.
I was like, well, there's far worse things.
Yeah, the AI had to think really hard. And there's still teams without quarterbacks. 1, 2, 3,
Mhm.
4 teams without a quarterback. So
Right.
Senor Egan, what you got?
Here. Oh, that went. All right. Certainly not playing $2 over his projected. It's 100%. Not doing that.
Well, at this point, it's a guy that will likely see a fair bit of touches, and I need some running back room.
Yeah, you do. I also need some help at running back. I was trying to find something cheap there.
This is a good deal for Jacoby Myers.
Right.
$3-4. I mean, I think a
I'll
lot of
take it
people
for.
could really argue he could get pushed all the way up to 8, and I think that's still fair value for Jacoby Myers.
Right.
Yeah.
Gonna go with the overpay. Alex believes in the cup of Cooper.
Do. I don't believe I'm going to get another running back, though. This is going to be tough. There is one out there still that I think is worth money. I think I'm at a position now, aside from Kevin. Kevin is the. There's 2 teams that can outspend me on this guy. See if I can get to him.
All right, we are certainly in that $1 type of territory from now on.
For most, I think there's one last play that I'm gonna make here.
It's not going to work.
Again, Kevin's gonna outbid me for this guy that I want, which sucks.
Well, that is the joy of having of kind of waiting and picking your spots.
Yeah, someone take Brandon Ayuk. There you go. Like, this is the thing about an auction draft too. You get down to the end, like, don't leave money on the table.
Right.
Yeah, spend all your money. You don't get to take it with you.
So if you're getting to this point and most of these players going off for $1, and there's if you have budget left and there's some guy that you are truly after, sink your money into him and get him. Like, do not leave money on the table. It doesn't do you any good.
David Njoku gonna go for $1. There we go. Now we're starting to see it.
Yeah, this is definitely the point where it starts just cooking, dollar a pop.
Surprised you didn't throw your guy up there.
How do you know that wasn't my guy?
That wasn't your guy. I'm staring at your guy.
That was a smoke screen. I was
I'm
hoping
staring
you'd
at your
take the
guy.
bait.
Nope.
I
I'm
was hoping
staring at
you'd
your
take
guy.
the bait.
I have 3 nominations until my turn, and then he's going to be my guy until someone outbids me.
I don't think anybody can outbid you.
No, the next closest one is at 13, and
Yeah,
7
you
now.
can have
So
you can
Alex
have the
has got
biggest bid.
Yeah, Kevin's got 16 that he can spend on a single. Alex has got 9 that he's got left.
He's the one guy I was really hoping for. I did that wrong.
Whoopsie.
I mean, it's not anything that I can do, but yep, there he goes. Kevin at least had the decency to start us off at the bid that nobody else could match, so we moved on.
That's funny.
is the guy Alex wanted. So I
It
wasn't going to
was.
pay 10. So I might
It
as
was.
well do it to
Although-
where you couldn't pay up.
Although what you could have done is you could have just bid 9, which is the max Alex could have gone, and he was the next highest one up, and so he couldn't have gone more than the 9.
Couldn't have gone
That's
any
what I
more than
did.
that.
That's what I did. I put
Oh,
it in there
okay.
at 9.
Oh, okay, I thought it went for 10. My bad.
That's a good get though, Kevin. Like
Yeah.
J.K. Dobbins for $9. Guy's probably gonna be the RB1 at least to start the year.
No, I really wasn't anticipating that.
What just happened? Did I just miss him?
Who?
Jordan Mason going for $2.
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
Nah, it's all good.
It's all right. I got some much more needed running back depth there.
From who?
Jordan Mason.
Oh. I took Nick Chubb from you.
That's all right.
Turn to nominate. Who do I have in the queue? Oh, sure. Let's do that.
Yeah, I got to figure out what I'm going to do with this last nomination.
Not really thrilled with my team, if I'm being honest.
You're not thrilled?
It's not bad. It's not great. I think we spent in places that we shouldn't have spent in.
Yeah, I really don't mind my roster.
Wait, what just happened?
Do you take Ibuka?
No. I wasn't paying attention. I let Chardonnay go. Bullshit.
Although I'm not gonna lie, I would much rather be in the position that I and some of these other teams are in, where you're down to only $1, but you really only have to fill out 4 roster spots. Whereas some of these other teams are needing, they've got $8 that they can spend, and they've still got to go out and get 9 players. Well, Kevin is full up on his roster.
Kevin is full.
I'm full and balanced for the most part. A couple extra receivers, but I can live with that. I can go to battle with this roster.
Right.
Got guys to fill in for suspension weeks from Addison and Rice if it comes to it. Got some upside in Pearsall because I really think he's going to kind of take over that Niners receiving core. J.K. Dobbins, he's the lead back until Harvey figures out how to pass pro in the NFL. Like, I like that. I can do battle with that one.
Right. Hey, I got me another $1 running back.
That's what it comes down to.
It does. Yep, it does.
There's still a team without a quarterback, which isn't terrible. Like, there's still plenty to do. Caleb Williams.
I just took Dak
Stroud,
Prescott.
Dak.
And I'm full.
There you go.
So, yeah, there's a couple teams with 2. Yeah, 3 teams with 2 quarterbacks. Ooh, Dalton Kincaid and Jake Ferguson sitting there at your tight end and a flex play right there. This team is toast. See, and so you thought that team, right, started out solid. Bijan, JT, Jamar, but then look at it. You have Chris Godwin on the pup, Josh Downs, who knows what's going on at quarterback in Indy, Kincaid, Ferguson I actually like more than Kincaid.
I
And
would agree
Book is interesting. They're saying a lot of good things, but he's still third on that depth chart. He has another starting spot to figure out and a quarterback still. Like, I'm not so scared of Team 8. Like, they're top loaded, but after that first 3, like, I don't know that week in and week out they're going to be able to carry the water.
Right.
Yeah. Team 2 is in a struggle right now too.
Like 10 spots they need to fill.
Well, but on top of that, Najee Harris, who's not participating at the moment.
This one would be a fun one to do with listeners.
Right.
Yeah. This would be fun.
Like get Binkin and Jamie and some of these other guys who jump in and do a lot of this with us and comment and everything else. It'd be good to do this one with listeners.
Yeah.
Put more of it'd be a little bit more commentary behind it, right? You'd see more of the true ebbs and flows of an auction draft.
Right. And whereas now we're just kind of into, whoever's nominating is winning whoever they're putting up there, because there's nobody that can go more than a dollar on any of these.
I don't mind Team 9. Like that roster is not too bad.
Yeah. Interesting. Like Laporta is a good play there. Tucker Kraft as a flex play is.
It's not great, but he's got some upside there, right? Like he got the handcuff for Chuba unintendedly, but still, it's there. Like you'd like a little bit more running back depth, but a mix between Kyler and Caleb Williams, you got to think you would like that.
Right.
Like, yeah, I don't mind Team 9. Like that one's not terrible.
No, really not.
Team 12 is toasted at receiver. Like there's just nothing sexy about that after Nix, Gibbs, McCaffrey, Bowers.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Team 11. Team 11, I don't mind Team 11, honestly. Tyreek halfway returns to form. You feel like you get value out of that. Hall, Harvey at 29. Like, again, that's a lot of money for a backup running back with the news that's coming out of Denver. But Caleb Johnson should be able to flip right in there and start. Tony Pollard, okay. I like Diggs for $1. I don't mind Debo for $4 as much as I'm not a big Debo guy. I don't mind their teams.
Right.
What else we got here? Team 7. The first half of Team 7's roster, I don't mind, but the back half, I don't love. Lamar Jackson, Jonathan Taylor, Isaiah Pacheco, then JSN, Mike Evans, and DJ Moore. That's not a bad little 3-headed monster at running back, right? Like they're all fringe guys. JSN, you hope that he carries through from last year and he sees enough targets to be relevant. Mike Evans, again, 10 touchdowns. You're hoping for 10 touchdowns and 1,000 yards. DJ Moore, I think you're hoping for, right around 1,000 yards and maybe 7 touchdowns. I don't like Tyler Warren having to play him in my flex, though. That scares me.
Right. Yeah, that does not seem like much fun there.
No. Team 4's Team 4 something, man.
Right? Like I don't even know what to make of that roster.
No, Bucky and Kyron, okay, fine. But spent so
That's
much
the team
money
that-
on running backs.
That's the team that had 5 running backs right off.
Yeah, spent so much money on running back.
Yeah, 188 spent on 5 running backs with no other positions to fill that out. Yeah, overall, I feel pretty good about the computer. Well, about the things that the computers let us kind of pick our spots and do here, but I feel pretty good about most of our rosters here.
I like that Dylan Sampson pick there for a buck at the end.
Right?
Same thing with Rashad White. I like both those guys for a buck. I was looking at both of them.
Hmm.
They're absolutely going to get some usage, and for going zero RB and just being able to kind of plug and play matchups.
Right.
I think your receivers will obviously be able to carry you through, but if you can find the right combination of running back with Joe Burrow leading the way at quarterback, I think you'll like that roster.
Right. Well, and I think Evan Ingram will do some good things there as well. So I think
Hmm.
I've got a plug and play tight end. Plug,
Yeah, I wanted to bid up Ingram, but I saw how the rest of this was kind of trickling down to me, and I didn't want to miss out on Dobbins, knowing that I needed running back depth, and so I had to pass on Ingram. And we'll start with Jonnu. We'll see how it goes. Worst case scenario, I flip out Jaden Blue or something and go with another tight end if I have to.
right.
So not terrible, right?
Right.
Again, it's in principle. It gets easier after this.
Yeah. Yeah. So auctions are one of the harder things to kind of wrap your mind around, especially if you're used to doing redrafts and used to doing a different style of format, because it can be definitely a very different beast, and that's usually where we see folks that when they chime in if they're first time doing an auction draft. The biggest SOS gets sent up, it seems like. But any other tips, tricks, anything like that you've got to share when it comes to the auction drafts?
I think in an auction draft, you're always reevaluating your plan, right? And so it is something that you may not think about as much as in a redraft. Is you got to remain fluid, right? Like you don't need to chase the run always, but kind of like what I was talking through with Derek and Evan Ingram. Like I knew I needed some running back depth, and so I had to sacrifice. I chose to sacrifice a better starting tight end for a serviceable starting flex running back, right? Because of how my roster looked again with having Addison and Rasheed Rice, both one definitely and the other potentially on suspension. Like I had to be more mindful of my depth than maybe some other teams had to be, because I knew my bench spots as they looked were actually going to be starting spots here for the first couple weeks. So I had to be fluid with that. But I don't advise taking both those guys on the same team. Um, excuse me. Part of it was a value play for me, like Addison for a buck and Rasheed Rice for 7. Like I I couldn't turn down spending $8 for 2 wide receivers that are easily flex plays when they're on the field.
Right.
So one of those things. But yeah, auction drafts are best if accompanied with a room full of people, maybe a couple adult sodas, to kind of liven the group up a little bit. But when done correctly, it is a fun way to draft. Um, I would be interested. I would be interested to see how the home league would do that just 1 year, but I
Mhm.
think I'd break everybody's brain. Like I think
Yeah.
the 3 of us would be kind of for it. I think there's 1 or 2 other guys in that league who would kind of jump on it. But outside of that, I think half the league would just quit. Like, nope, we're done. Like,
Right.
brain is broken and we're not going to deal with it.
So, one of the other interesting things that I've seen done in the past, and right, is do it where it's a true salary cap type of deal, where you have so much to spend, right, as your buy-in. But I have seen a variation though that whatever, so you have your buy-in, right, and every time you buy, you're bidding on a player and you win that, like that's what goes into the pot there, right, and you can ultimately walk away with a buy-in less than um, what the budget was on that, but required to to not go over that. And that was an interesting format there as well. With kind of a little variation on an auction draft there. Also seen that too, where right when it comes to playing, right, like penny auctions, and you literally have whatever your budget is, it's 200, 500, and you have that many pennies that you're pushing into the table to actually keep track of all of that when it comes to a live type of auction. So another kind of fun way for engagement.
That's fun. I did do a league where you had to pay $1 per waiver wire transaction.
And there's some people I play with that would have a hard time doing that.
The pot. Yeah, it all went into the pot. And so it was great if you made a bunch and you won because you got your money back. But you try and make a lot of moves, and I'm guilty of it. I love the waiver wire. I hammer it. I try and play around with it at least a good amount. I think almost every week I'm participating in it one way, shape, or form. But that league, I learned my lesson, because when the buy-in's $25, but then you have 257 waiver wire transactions. At the end of the season, commissioner's going, "Hey, I need this money." I'm like, "Oh no!"
What do you mean?
Do you accept Subway gift cards? Like, oh my goodness! Pay you on
Tuesday.
Exactly.
One of those where you just go, I've got to hide my phone this week just to keep the bill down.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. I was very new to fantasy at that point. Like, I didn't quite understand what I was doing, and how I didn't read the rules. Like, ultimately, that's what it was. I didn't read the rules. I was just playing. Okay, I know I need a player better than this player, so I'm going to swap him out, and I'm going to do the like. You learn. Right? You read the rules. You understand what it is.
I misinterpreted the rules.
Yeah, exactly. But it's all good.
So, alrighty. Well, that's certainly always fun when we get into the auction side of it and get going down through it. Is there any formats out there that you particularly like utilizing a redraft for? Right, we've talked about some different styles, right? Guillotine, redraft, dynasty. Is there a format out there that really kind of stands out as far as how you like to participate in a auction style draft?
So I think that a guillotine league should be an auction draft. Like, I firmly believe that, because in a guillotine league, you need to have ample opportunity at staying alive. Right. And so for anybody who doesn't know what a guillotine league is, after a set amount of time, so we'll just say, for instance, if it's a 12-team league, after the first 4 weeks, the lowest scoring team gets eliminated from the league. Their players go back into the available player pool, and the other teams can grab them. And a team is eliminated in subsequent weeks, right? Until there's one team left standing, right? It is a super fun way to play fantasy. I'm surprisingly decent at it. I've played in a couple of guillotines, and I'm right there at the end a lot of the time. But I believe a guillotine league should be an auction draft. Like, it is a hill I will plant my flag on, because you need to have ample opportunity. You should not be handcuffed at a random draw, and your ability to, stay alive in this league.
I've never won a guillotine league.
You haven't?
I think you myself.
Now, I haven't played in tons of them, but I've played in a handful of them for sure. And probably one or two each year now. I can make it to the playoffs. I always run out of budget. Like, when I need it, when I really need it at the end of the season, I'm out of budget, because I'm trying to make different moves and everything else. And so, like, when those last two teams that are stacked also, right, the final four, when those last 2 weeks worth of teams get eliminated, like, I always seem to come up a bit short in being able to make the right move or have the money to justify it. Like, I get close, but I've never been on the mountaintop of that format of league.
Right.
I would say, go ahead, Derek.
I was going to say with that, I found my strategy and I've done pretty well in them as well. And I tend to win one or two of them a season. I think I'm up to about 4 or 5 that I play in every year. But what I've been doing is I set my strategy for the first. I'm drafting to make it through the first 4 weeks. So my draft is to literally get me through weeks 1 through 4. Going into week 5, I will take a look at my roster and see what I've got. If I feel like I can make it through the next week, right, and this is where I start playing through the kind of the projections and looking at everybody else. And if I feel like my roster is going to make it through the next week, I don't make a move on the waiver wire, right? With all the teams that have been dumped and leading up to it. And then I look at week 6 and I kind of keep progressing that. I might make 1 or 2 moves from weeks 4 through 8 to add a player into it. I'm going to keep it on the lower side of my budget allotted to make sure that I make it through week 8 by adding 1 or 2 players to kind of improve my roster to that. And then probably add about 1 player a week to get me through week 12. And then when I get into week 12, I really start looking at that. Okay, this is where the playoff push comes, but I'm looking to hold back as much of my budget as I can so that way when I get to weeks 14, 15, I can go on the free for all. And while I may have barely scraped to it to make it to that point, it's I can free for all. And then I've now I went from the team that barely got there to now I'm the stack team and everybody else just has to look out.
Yeah, the goal is in the guillotine, the goal is survival until you get down to probably the last 4 teams left. So the goal is to literally just be better than one other team. Like you just have to be better than one other team. So that's how you look at that. And realistically, like those teams that are getting eliminated, they don't have great players. Early on, those teams that are getting eliminated early on, they don't have great players. If they had great players, they'd still be around. So it's a patient game in the guillotine when it comes to the waiver wire. I would say that though that the auction draft for that is my favorite. I'm in a league that is exclusively auction draft and has been with my high school buddies. And that's just something we agreed upon a long time ago because we wanted to make our drafts more fun. And we've been doing it, again, like I said, for years and years. Fair
enough. And the blind auction, whole other ball of wax. And we can go into that if somebody has some questions. But that is still one of my favorite drafts of ways to draft of all time is the blind auction draft, just because of the rosters I always come up with on that.
Super fun. There's a super fun strategy on that too.
Right. We call it the shotgun approach. And if anybody has any questions, just let us know. We'll gladly share. But yeah, so any other thoughts or any other comments we want to talk about on some auction?
No, I don't think so.
All right, awesome. Well, I do believe that's going to take us down here to the end of it. Is there any final thoughts out there for the viewers and listeners?
Stay tuned, right? Be on the lookout for news and notes, little nuggets that are coming out between press conferences and beat writers, and enjoy the first full week of preseason games this week. And as always, thank you for tuning in, and please remember to like and subscribe, and we'll catch everybody next week.
Sign. Enjoy some football this week if you got it.
All righty. And actually, real quick before we go, we got one question that came in. We're going to hit this up, and then we'll call it a night. Braxton over on YouTube chiming in saying they got Lamar, Monty, Pacheco, Tyreek, Jamar, McBride, Waddle, Jake Elliott, and the Chiefs defense. Anything I can try and trade for to get a better team? Yeah, I'd package Waddle off and try and get anything out of that.
Yeah, having Tyreek and Waddle is kind of counterproductive.
Yeah, I agree.
So I would
I think you could do something whichever the other team might want more, right? Whether it's Tyreek or Waddle, and pair him up with like Pacheco and see where you can improve. And it's at wide receiver or running back. You can be flexible. assuming that you have a bench. But seeing if you can do something like a Jonathan Taylor, you want to look for a running back with 300 plus touches. So maybe not quite Saquon or Derrick Henry, but somewhere in the realm of Jonathan Taylor. Kyron Williams might be an interesting one. That one I'm probably only giving up Waddle and Pacheco because a lot of people might consider that an overpay, but I don't. But yeah, I think there's going to be a little pairing up here to try and improve your running back room. Montgomery and Pacheco, you're going to get really frustrated with those guys leading your way, and then having both Dolphins receivers, you're not going to like that either. So you need to find a way to break it up a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah. Alex, any other thoughts on that one?
I think you could. This has nothing to do with trades that you make. I would dump the Chiefs defense, though. Their schedule is horrific, and try to find you a better option there. I know they're ranked high, but man, that's a horrific schedule.
So this is not me picking on Braxton personally, but I am going to use this roster as an example as why I believe you should not go early tight end and early quarterback.
Yeah.
You can do one or the other. I personally don't want to do both because I feel like you get in situations like this. Like Jamar McBride and Lamar are great, right? Like that's a great thing to kind of anchor your team on. But you're stuck with two running backs who, yes, have value. Monty, it'll be interesting to see if they cut him back just a little bit as he's a little bit older and Gibbs is coming into the prime of his career. I'm not convinced that Pacheco is going to be on the field more than 50% of the time. That's great. Oh, that's a great value for McBride. Heck yeah. I like that a lot.
Cow.
In the fifth. Yeah. If he fell to the fifth, you got to stab him. Like I get it. But I think Kareem Hunt's going to be more of a pain in Isaiah Pacheco's backside than anybody realizes. And Pacheco's yet to stay healthy through a season. So it's just different things to consider. That being said, it's preseason. There's plenty of time, but there's always work to be done. And your roster is no different than any other roster that a redraft team is going to look like. There's going to be areas of weakness, and you need to try and either hammer the waiver wire or come up with creative trades to strengthen your roster.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. And running back would be where I'd be looking to make a move there as well, right? Like Monty or Pacheco. Personally, I'd rather have Monty on that one. But I do like your thought of taking a Pacheco, a Waddle, and trying to ship them off and see if you could get a Kyron Williams, Jonathan Taylor. If you can't make that one move, I would still potentially move down the board a little bit. Like I wouldn't mind looking at like a Chase Brown or even a Kenneth Walker at that point as well. Those could be other deals there as well. And with that, you could even maneuver that where maybe you're not taking so much on one of those guys, and you could look at some of your bench to kind of fill in and potentially make that trade there as well. But yeah, you want to move off the wall, the double Dolphins wide receivers, and you'll want to move off you'll want to improve upon either Monty or Pacheco there. And if you got Jalen Warren on your bench, which I see you just put in the chat there as well, not a big fan of Jalen Warren either. So I would look at packaging Waddle, Pacheco, see if you could move up and get a Kyron Williams, Jonathan Taylor, Chase Brown, Kenneth Walker, kind of in that range. If and potentially taking a Roma Dunze, Jalen Warren, and potentially packaging them off and try and improve either a wide receiver or running back at that point as well. And then you've got some room on the waiver wire to try and pick some folks up there. Any other thoughts on this one? All right. All righty. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. Appreciate everybody tuning in, chiming in, all the questions and comments in the chat. We'll be back next week. We're going to be talking more redraft strategy and an auction, or not auction, more redraft draft strategy and fantasy football draft strategy coming up here. But that's going to do it for us tonight. Make sure you hit us up on all the socials, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, all the places at Good Old Boys FF. Best place to help support the channel, go over to youtube.com/at Good Old Boys FF. Click that subscribe button, ring the bell. But that's going to do it for us tonight. He's Kevin. He's Alex. I'm Derek. Have a good one. Be safe. Toodaloos.